Hey, how you doing? Tony Wasinski, officially every podcast, getting ready for Oktoberfest with some great tasting, less filling, 96-calorie Miller Lite. Here he is, Frankie Bergasetti. He's got the old German hat on.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, doing pretty good. I know you like a good cold one this time of year. This is a great time to sit around with friends, enjoy some football, and some cold ones, some great tasting, less filling Miller Lites. I see you got the cooler.
Absolutely fabulous Thursday today, getting ready for another week 2 NFL football. Going to watch the games and enjoy myself a nice ice cold Miller Lite.
It is a special time of year. It's a special beer. We encourage everybody, get a delivery option near you. If not, go to the grocery store, pick some up, have some with some friends. It's by far the best beer in the market.
That's what's great, too. It's not just you could find it anywhere. It's you could walk in, and it's close by. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like in a weird aisle. It's always there.
They want you to know where the Miller Lite's at,
Exactly.
and that's because it's the best beer. Tell me a little bit more. How can I get some Miller Lite?
You could get Miller Lite. So, actually, next time you're getting ready to enjoy cold ones with your crew, go to MillerLite.com/Redline to find delivery options near you.
I like that. Online.
Yeah, or you can pick up Miller Lite, like I said, pretty much anywhere they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Hey, Don. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Chicago sports fans. This is Carl.
Dave.
Chief.
Eddie.
This is Redline Radio, an all-gas, no-break Chicago sports podcast brought to you by Barstool Sports Chicago, Miller Lite, and soon-to-be Dave Wannstedt.
Fired up. It was great to have Wani in studio. It's just great to have people in here in general. He was great. He can tell stories with the best of them. And we get some good Bears conversation about the new school, some old school, and some good college football conversation.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
Yeah. I like him. He's one of those guys I feel like almost maybe not to the degree of Cutler, but like time has been like kind to how people remember Wani. Well, I feel like everyone in Chicago kind of likes Wani now, and he didn't have the best run here, but he's just a lovable, likable guy.
I was going to say this. He's 69 years old. He is just devilishly handsome.
He is a good-looking man.
That hair, I wish I had his hair.
He's also huge.
I didn't know that
I didn't know that either.
What is it, 6'4", 6'5"?
He towered over me.
Yeah.
He's so much bigger than the defensive backs he would have been coaching when he came out. Like and the mustache is a lot crisper and cleaner than I thought. That's a well-maintained stash.
Did you shave today because you knew he was coming in?
Trim it up.
I mean, I did. I tried to, but no, not for Wani, just for my own personal. For
you guys
Dave.
should have had like a mustache ride contest with that.
True story. I wanted to bring up the stash. The conversation was overpoweringly about.
He was
just
getting
like
into it. He was
football
like
and
finger
getting into it.
pointing.
Yeah.
So the fired up.
It's absolutely unbelievable that he isn't somewhere in like South Florida just picking up MILFs. Like, I mean, that's just like, I don't know if he's married. I don't know. Sorry. And I don't know if he does that anyways, but that's just like, just the vibe of him. Like, he would just clean up in, some Florida community.
So stick around. We'll have the Wannstedt. We're going to get to Wani in a second, but like football vibes are high. We're in the middle of it, guys. And I don't know if there's anything that really is fucking getting you guys going for the weekend or any. I don't know if it's college, NFL, but like this is. We're like in chapter 2 of football season. It's the best time of the year.
Yeah. I'm scared. If we're talking college football, I'm scared.
I'm.
Well, the onus is on you at this point too.
Why is it on me?
Well, because
the
Bears are like, the Bears are bad. Northwestern had a tough loss. Illinois is.
We're 1-2 and rebuilding.
And obviously Notre Dame, like people don't believe in them. You're scared, but you're still. You're still the best dog we have in the fight.
Well, and there's some parallels with the Bears and Notre Dame this year where it's like you got this veteran quarterback. He's been like successful, but not like overwhelmingly like sexy in Jack Cohn and Andy Dalton. Then you got the young kid. You got Justin Fields. You got Tyler Buckner, and like they both have wheels. Like there's some, and then Tyler Buckner came into the game against Toledo and gave Notre Dame some gas. So. It's like could we have like the same sort of things, and then Notre Dame's had a great defense the last several years. The defense does not look that good, so it's like they're kind of mirror images of each other in a way. But the Notre Dame is they have Toledo on their schedule and they have Florida State on their schedule. The Bears had to jump right in with the Rams, so I'm nervous. That undefeated blog looking rough, the undefeated bet looking a little rough. I do like Notre Dame to cover against Purdue this week. So
Purdue stinks.
Come on, that's not
Purdue
true.
stinks.
Purdue's not any good.
I mean, they're not as good as Notre Dame, but there's some bad teams out there. I don't know if Purdue's one of them.
Florida State's
Big
State's
Ten
one of them. They lost to
stinks.
Jacksonville State last week.
Yeah.
So,
that was incredible.
Yeah, so Florida State, and that's one team that's been, that Notre Dame went to overtime with. They lost to Jacksonville State at home. So even that win, we're like, oh, maybe Norvell's got Florida State coming back a little bit. Wrong.
Wrong.
The best thing out of that game was the GIF, or GIF, as Ed would like to say. Did you see the celebration of the GIF at the end of the cheerleaders laughing?
They were like stunned. They're like,
the one guy's like, you can't laugh. Rebecca.
Did you see what else happened at the end of the Florida State game?
Are you talking about the Hail Mary?
No, I'm saying that while Jacksonville State was like on the field celebrating in the opposite end zone, a lineman was proposing to his girlfriend.
oh yeah, that's just
pick a different game.
You
buddy.
gotta suck it up another week.
Man.
Like wait until you play some fucking
get a W on this guy. She should have said no.
She should have said no. He's a loser.
He is a Barstool athlete.
Ed, doing the fucking research.
He is a Barstool athlete. And we might have
maybe one of our programs as part of this Barstool Athlete thing is to like give advice on when to propose to your girlfriend.
And he seems to be taking it like a champ. I believe so. He might be coming on the Portnoy show next week. Might not. I don't know.
Every NFL coach and scout just ripped up all their tape on that guy, right?
I mean,
they think he's a gentleman and he's in love. And if he
can't wait one more second.
We should ask Wani.
But like I said too, listen, if you lose to Jacksonville State, maybe he had in his mind he wanted to fucking do it on the field. He wanted to do it at Florida State. I mean, they might not win a game, so it's like, hey, might as well do it now.
You know, I loved the move. We've talked about it before. The Boise State kid in 2007, I think it was, when they beat Oklahoma.
Walk off. Big bowl game.
Right, like that's the moment. I mean. You might as well go get her pregnant in that moment. You lose to Jacksonville State.
And you're Florida State, a traditional blue blood.
Yeah.
You got to suck it up for another
all the
couple
best.
weeks.
I hope they're together for 70 years.
Dying like the old people in the Titanic.
Or that woman died alone, but like the Notebook was probably the reference.
No, I'm talking about in the bed when the water's rushing in and they.
Oh, okay. You know what?
That's
I
really
apologize.
sad. That's a really sad scene in Titanic.
Let's go with the Notebook anyways, because they had a long, full life together and they loved each other. Anyways, but yeah, like that. I'd be interested to hear his take on that. So I hope he does go on the Portnoy show. Shout out Barstool Athletes. Also, Tyler Buckner, Barstool Athlete.
So we'll see. Notre Dame, Purdue.
It's Purdue. It's 7.5 at this moment. I'm going to be hammering that. I think Notre Dame. Purdue's a good team to get right against, and I think Notre Dame will get right against Purdue.
I thought Purdue was fine, but I could be an idiot.
They're not good.
They had that 1 year with Rondell Moore, and they had Jeff Brom, and people were like all excited about Purdue like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then
they destroyed Ohio State.
Jeff Brom,
destroyed him by like 30.
Right, they killed him, and Jeff Brom had like offers from Tennessee. He had offers from all these big programs, and he's like, he's like, right. He gave Louisville, which is his alma mater,
right.
offered him, and he's like, nope. I'm believing what we're building in Purdue. He's probably going to get fired.
Yeah.
So, little reference, Wani talks about coaches' windows coming up on the interview. Jeff Brom might have missed his get out of Dodge window with Purdue before Purdue turned back into a pumpkin.
So it's a good tale of like the times, because oftentimes when the coaches leave the smaller school, I think I always fuck it up. Is it Chapman or Campbell at Iowa State? It's
Campbell.
Matt Campbell.
And so this is one of those guys where it's like he could take on the next big BCS program. And then he leaves, and you're like, dude, it would have been so cool if that guy stayed for 30 fucking years. There's a reason that like almost never happens.
Yeah. And maybe he missed his window too. We'll see.
Can I make a statement on that?
Yeah.
As you know, I've been a big Matt Campbell guy.
You're basically his agent.
I know. I love him. I was high in the clones the last few years. I think I'm very close to being out if I'm not out.
You can't just go out like that, Ed, with how high you've been.
They haven't had a conference game
This
yet.
is largely gambling related.
Okay.
But I was on it. I was like, listen, this is it. Like I sat there and I was like, this is Iowa. Like they're the bet. I was like, I know it. Like Iowa State doesn't play well in the first couple games of the year. I was like, I feel so good. I was riding Iowa the whole time, and then I flipped last minute. And you know what happens when you flip, Dave?
You can't flip, Ed.
You can't flip.
That's not on him, though. That's on you.
Well, it's on him. They couldn't fucking do it again. They couldn't do it again.
He's never beat Ferris.
No, they can't do it.
They've lost 6 in a row to Iowa.
And I'm like, I knew that Iowa was the play. It was a kind of a rat line. And I was like, but I was, I'm going to believe in Matt Campbell and believe in the Cyclones.
At home, game day.
I know. And they just didn't do it again. So I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm not out.
Iowa State people are so nice. When Dave and I did the Field of Dreams game, our catcher was the club baseball catcher for Iowa State. And because we're playing in Iowa, would you believe if I told you that he had over 30 people there watching him?
Wow. Good for him.
I mean, it was like everybody in the family in maroon down the line.
Hated us.
And so, Ed, one of the things I told the family, I said, Iowa State fans, oh yeah, guys got to be excited for football season. They're like, yeah, I don't know, this could be the, like we never beat Iowa, and I was standing there telling them, No. The Cyclones, this is the year. I got a guy that I work with. He loves the Cyclones. I was gassing them up. They're probably devastated. Iowa State people, nice people.
I know, and that's what, like, I don't have pleasure bringing you this message. I'm just very disappointed. I mean, you guys are very disappointed too, but
there's nothing better than being.
You did?
Yeah, I almost went to Iowa State.
Okay, let's hear the story.
Oh wow,
It's beautiful.
Des Moines is not a bad city.
It's not Des Moines.
They
It's
grapes?
Ames.
Well, it's right next.
No, it's the other side of the state. Ames is like not far from Nebraska, I don't believe. But you're the guy, so you probably know better than I do, actually. But I don't remember going through Des Moines. But Ames is where it is. Beautiful. You would not know that you're in Iowa. Like
Rolling Hills.
Beautiful buildings. It's like, I think it's rated by what's that U.S.
It's a solid 10 hours and 45 minutes away.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. It's like 30 minutes away.
Oh, David,
Yeah.
I have my. This is
What
not.
are you
This,
talking
that's a sabotage. It's set to walking.
Ooh, hey.
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
10-hour
It's a good
walk.
feature.
It's
I
north.
like that.
It's north of Des Moines.
Yeah.
You're right. You're
It
right.
was a 10-hour walk.
And but yeah, Ames is beautiful. I would hope that they get. I was kind of pulling for them too, and I like Iowa. I like Kurt Ferentz, but it's just I like Breece Hall. I had a little Heisman future on Breece Hall, a little sprinkle. That's not looking so good. He had the big fumble in that game. So, but yeah, it's a pretty place. People should check out Ames if they have the chance.
So hopefully this doesn't conclude all of our Iowa State coverage for the duration of the pod.
No, I mean, one loss, you're not dead yet. It'd be very, very hard to.
It's not like the Big 12's looking that great.
I know. It's yeah.
So
It's probably
anybody
done.
watch the? It's such
Northwestern versus
such
Indiana
a
State
lame
game.
question. Takeaways: Oregon, Ohio State.
The Big Ten stinks. That's my takeaway.
They got outplayed.
Oh yeah, they
without their best player. Oregon didn't have their best player.
Oregon did not have their best player, and
Thibodeau's going to be the number one pick in the draft, and he was out with a high ankle sprain, so they still took it to him.
It's tough for the Big Ten this year.
Yeah, it's looking rough.
I mean, unless Penn State is awesome and goes on a roll.
Well, your boy just got he's linked, and there's mutual interest between him and SC.
Good, fucking take it.
James Franklin, right?
You hate James Franklin.
I hate him. Going back to his time at Vanderbilt, he fucking bitched out because Northwestern was beating the shit out of him every year, and he's like, "No, I'm not going to play this." And he didn't even have the respect to give Pat Fitzgerald a phone call and say, "Hey, I can't do this series no more." He wrote him a fucking letter. Pat Fitz got a letter from the Vanderbilt AD's office or whatever. That's why I hate him. And he just reeks scumbag to me.
Your ability to hold grudges is awesome.
I love it.
You love a good grudge.
It's probably my best ability.
It's up there with throwing fastballs.
That's it.
Yep.
That's what I got. That's all I'm good with. Yeah, Northwestern stinks. They're bad.
Are you out?
I mean, they're not good.
Do you have season tickets this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Damn, I'm actually sorry to hear that.
I mean, the schedule is so fucking pathetic. I saw a tweet. It's the worst in the Big Ten, and out of all Power 5 schools, it's or worst as an easiest. Mm-hmm. And out of all Power 5 schools, it's the second to last in terms of strength of schedule. So they still will go to a bowl game, but they're not good. They are not good. I mean, they should have absolutely fucking, and they kind of put it on cruise control. They went up early, but
Against Indiana State.
Yeah, it's Indiana State. Who gives a flying fuck? But they still didn't look good. I mean, there was nothing impressive about them. Nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm out on them for this year, but I mean, they've always been a hot and cold team and organization the last decade or so. So I'm sure they'll be fine next year. But this is, they look like shit. Blah.
You'll be all right, Dave.
Yeah, I'm fine.
It'll be like one big upset win. You'll be back to skull fucking a stranger at Pat Ryan Field.
Yeah. Well.
Not what I mean. What was this scene where he's like humping the guy from behind?
Yeah,
that
was
Notre Dame. Not skull
game.
fucking, but you know.
Yeah. Well, and then Dave, you need to be singularly focused right now, anyway.
I am.
So the Northwestern being bad probably does you a favor.
That's true.
Yep.
That's a good
I mean,
point.
I'm mostly focused on Northwestern 1 day a week.
Yeah.
Not 6 or 7 days a
Well,
week.
regardless, besides anything, Dave, we know you'll have Revitalight to ride through this playoff run, to ride through this bad start, this poor start for Northwestern. Obviously, you've heard us talk about Revitalight a lot now. You know the drill. It's the adult version of a certain drink you find in the baby aisle. There's a Barstool label. I was actually, the Portnoy show, we had Cutler on, and he just shit on me the whole time for having that. And I should have been like, Jay, it's Revitalight. It's a real deal. They're a sponsor.
Well, Jay's a fucking idiot.
They made our own label. Take it easy, guy.
They were all over Windy City Smokeout earlier this summer, and that stuff was a godsend the next day. So you get rehydrated pretty quickly. It's delicious. So we have. I was drinking the blue one yesterday. Carl just held it up. It's on the desk. It's great. Can't endorse it enough.
Yeah,
I prefer the orange version myself.
No, you like the blue one because that's the Black Label Barstool one.
So
There's multiple.
Well, there's a Black Label, whatever you want. You don't have to go to the baby aisle for it, which is great. You can get this, and it's specifically made with stoolies in mind for maximum recovery, and it's a perfect complement for you when your life gets a little rough and rowdy. Don't pay for it on Saturday nights and Sunday morning. Revitalight Black Label pairs perfectly with nightcaps and midnight snacks. Your nightstand will feel naked without it, so stock up. Pro tip. This is a pro tip. I like pro tip. Everyone likes pro tips. This is a pro tip from them. Drink half at night and the other half in the morning for optimal results. Pick up your Revitalight Black Label today in store or online at the Barstool store, and tweet at us or tag us at Drink Revitalight. That's REVITALYTE in your morning after stories.
It's a great product, Ed.
Great product.
Since I've been introduced to it, and I was introduced to it a while back because they do a ton of stuff out in our New York City headquarters. It is awesome. I fully endorse it myself, and I know that the WSD endorsement carries a ton of weight. So, like they said, I'll pound half before I go to sleep at night, half in the morning. Feel fresh as a daisy.
That is a good tip.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Good tip.
No more tap water.
So,
yeah.
I don't know if there's a ton to cover, but is there any other college football wise? Sorry.
Illinois plays Maryland. We're 1-2. We win, we lose, whatever. The 8 p.m. game Friday, and I will be streaming from the gambling house, I believe. In New Jersey.
There you go.
Nice.
So
that's good.
watch me die publicly.
That'll be cool.
Watch me defend. I think his name's Arthur Sitkowski.
Yep. Arthur is a tough name. That's my dad's middle name, actually. Arthur.
Now, I do like an Artie, though. And I know Eddie obviously loves a good Artie.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So, but you can only get an Artie if you're an Arthur.
Yeah.
But we do have a revenge game.
Dave, Illinois will always respect Mike Loxley.
Oh, yeah.
He's the best.
He brought in the fucking top 8 recruiting class.
Yeah, he was so sweet.
Regis
and the offense was cool.
Martellus, what was his name? Watson?
Martez Wilson from
Wilson,
Simeon,
yeah.
who was like the 10th overall player in his class.
Yeah, they both
An
were.
edge rusher
Yeah.
before they really had
They were both 5 stars, I remember, back in my, not back, but in my more primitive Rivals message board days.
So the Ron Zook era for us was none of the guys were like, the teams were okay. He put the only other team that had more draft picks or first round picks or something over a period of time with Ron Zook was Alabama.
Okay.
Because it was like, I don't know, go down the list.
Yeah.
Mendenhall and Vontae Davis and stuff. There would always be these guys that end up playing for the Saints too. And you're like, dude, that guy didn't even play Bellamy. I'm thinking of fucking Alan Ball.
Yeah.
Alan Ball did like 10 years in the NFL. He was like okay at Illinois. There were like all these guys. So there was like this weird point of pride where it's like, yeah, we may not be good at college football, but the players that play for us, they get paychecks in the NFL, even if you hadn't heard of them.
Speaking of Alabama, we'll end college football on this, I guess. They're at Florida. It's 1 versus 11. Bama is a 14.5-point favorite.
They're a machine.
I'm ready to just crown them national champions right now. No
you
one
might
else
as
even
well.
looks good. Clemson looks down. Ohio State looks down. I'm sure Oregon is good, but like it's still the Pac-12. Alabama will kill them too. Alabama is so much better this year than everybody else. It's disgusting.
Could they beat the Bears?
They're just at the point where like they've played against each other so much in practice for like a decade plus of whatever, where it's just 5-star on 5-star. If you go and play Florida, you go play, like people say, oh, the SEC schedule is so hard. I bet those Alabama skill position players would tell you that the hardest thing they have to do all year is compete against their own guys. Yeah. Like, yeah, dude, I'll go out and play against Texas A&M. I'm up against 5-stars every day in practice.
Yeah.
Back at the start of quarantine and coronavirus and everything last year, I don't know if it leaked or it was intentionally publicized or something, but it was a Nick Saban recruiting pitch over Zoom to whoever it was, some recruit, some 5-star, I'm sure. And he got asked that question. He's like, so like, there's already 2 offensive linemen or whatever position it was coming into Bama that are both 5 stars. Like, I could go to Ohio State and be the guy in the class instead of a guy in the class. He's like, yeah, well, if that's the case, like, we don't want you. Like I'm upfront as can be with all the recruits. Like, you're going to have the best competition, and you're going to face the best competition one-on-one and with each other, not just against each other in practice. That will prepare you for life after football or for life with football in the NFL or whatever it was. And it was really cool. It was like everybody talks about, like, oh, he cheats, like all the big name college football programs are like, oh, who's he paying off? I don't think Saban even has to do that anymore. I really don't.
I mean,
especially with the NIL shit.
Absolutely,
definitely not with the NIL.
I would love to hear his recruiting pitch in person. Here's another guy.
It was blunt, and it wasn't even his sales pitch. He's like, if you want to come here, like, we're Alabama.
Yeah, I think the most famous one was the Jadeveon Clowney, who he ended up not getting. He went to South Carolina, of course, but he's like, if you come here, you'll win 2 national championships and you'll be the number 1 pick. And he's like, or you can go to South Carolina, like, and fuck off. And he went to South Carolina and fucked off. He's still the number 1 pick. But yeah, it is crazy. Like, he just sits down, like, if you want to win national championships, like, you'll win 2 by the time you're done here. It's fucking insane.
I would have loved to get recruited by Dave Wannstedt.
I still, like, I wish he was still here. Like, I wish, like, he left maybe a half hour ago. I wish Dave Wannstedt.
Yeah. Oh, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up.
But, yeah, great conversation.
Just football.
You want to go to him?
That guy probably can't even think about, like.
That's the best too. Let's get to it. No, we'll talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here's Dave Wannstedt.
Whoosh.
All right, so we're the interview person of the show right now. We're joined by former Bears coach Dave Wannstedt, also Fox NFL kickoff host. Wani, it's great to have you. We've been looking forward to getting you in studio.
Yeah, this is, God, I would never find this on my own. This is a great spot you guys got here. Big spot.
Yeah, and, you said you came on our show before, but really, where one of us, well, maybe one of us before, is our guy Dave has a unique story about a time with you.
Yeah, so where were you on August 27th, 2018 at 5:07 p.m.? Do you know? Because I know where you were.
Give me the year.
2018.
Wow. I wasn't coaching then.
You were not.
What city?
Chicago.
Rosebud? Tefanos?
Neither of those. You
Gibson's?
were just, you were walking out of the 600 West Chicago Avenue, Big Ten Net building.
Yep, probably had a cigar.
I don't remember a cigar, but you were walking across. Is that Larrabee right there?
That's Larrabee.
Larrabee,
yep, up Chicago.
And,
yep.
It was rush hour traffic. I'm texting and driving. Shouldn't have been doing that. I look up. I slam on the brakes. I almost hit somebody. I look up. I'm like, I give one of these. I'm like, I think that's Dave Wannstedt. So we made eye contact, and I go, and there's like an awkward pause with that eye contact, and I'm just like, 1-8, and you go, yo. And you just walked away.
So, if you wanted to sue our guy Whites, if you're always wondering who hit you with a car, it was White Sox Dave.
Yeah, I do. In fact, what's today? I did my Big Ten show. I'm doing one every Tuesday. But the big show, Big Ten. Fox owns the Big Ten network, majority of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I do a show down there, and I've got a great location. I walk to everything I do in Chicago. I do 2 shows on the Score. I do NBC Sports Chicago, and I do Big Ten Network. I do Pro Football Weekly. So I'm working during the week.
You're working.
Then I fly to L.A. every Saturday, or last week I went Friday. I go to L.A. and do, obviously the studios in Los Angeles for Fox. So
are you always dodging cars though? Do you get frequently almost close?
You're a jaywalker.
Situations?
Yeah, that was technically
You're
your
a jaywalker. He should sue you.
Oh, I'm sure I was not between the white lines walking, but I don't remember that day. But I did the same thing you're talking about yesterday. Okay, but there was never a problem. I did not come close to getting run over, so that was on you.
Well,
yeah, it was my fault. I was texting and driving, probably hitting up one of these idiots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That was a story we had to kind of break the ice about Dave, because I remember seeing that, and there's the perfect reaction. Just you giving a yo, like that just is always
like a yo or a hey, one of those.
Usually that's a nice little cigar walk for me. So usually I have a little cigar in the way.
You do a lot of cigar walks?
Just after my show sometimes,
What's your favorite cigar?
Fuente, probably.
Fuente?
Toro Fuente.
How do you smoke cigars daily or just a weekend?
No. I do probably when I golf, and then the show. So at the most, I'm probably one a week.
Okay.
One a week.
Nice.
Yeah, I watch. I'm not try to stay in shape, you know.
So what's been going on? You say you're doing a ton of media. Obviously, you used to coach. Are you enjoying doing this? Or?
I am. I never thought I would because I was always real protected when I was coaching. And I've talked to a lot of the guys, the Mike Greenbergs of the world that were here in Chicago at the time. And we talk about that and laugh because I was always concerned about what I might say that might get out there and our players or our coaches or, you know. So I got an opportunity to do this, and I've been very fortunate. As you guys know, these jobs, I'll be 10 years with Fox coming up. Wow. I'm 9 years right now. Yeah, so it's.
And that's a national show?
Oh, yeah.
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 So do you, is there a difference there? Do you like doing national more, or do you like kind of covering and talking about a team you used to coach?
You know what? We always talk about the Bears. You know what I mean? They're always usually in the conversation, good or bad. So I get enough of that during the week. So it's nice to go out there on a weekend and, you know, we meet. I'm up at 3:30. Jimmy, myself, and Bradshaw usually meet for coffee in the green room, Johnson. And then I'm in a production meeting at 5:30. Our show's live at 8, and they're live at 9, obviously, right after us on Fox. So it's fun. I mean, we sit around in the mornings and talk about the college games, and so I enjoy it. I mean, it's.
So you're not interested in the USC job?
No. I coached at USC for 3 years. It's a great job. I can tell you that. I was there in the 80s when I left. Yeah, for 3 years. Then went to Miami with Jimmy.
You sure you don't want to go there?
Won a Rose Bowl when I was there. Beat Ohio State. It was Mike Tomczak. Remember?
Yep. Steelers.
Keith Byers was he the running back. Chris Carter was a rookie. Not a rookie, but a freshman that year. And so was Chris Spielman. They were both freshmen.
That's a good team.
Yeah, they were real good. And I had Del Rio. We had Dwayne Bickett, Del Rio, and then really no other household names.
So just great coaching, sounds
like.
No,
it was outstanding coaching.
Yeah. So then you went. I'm actually kind of obsessed with Jimmy Johnson. So it's just one of those guys. Like I was a little kid in the '90s, the Cowboys. The documentary, the U, came out. What was it about Jimmy and those teams with the U? Like, how did you keep? It seemed like that was a circus. Like, how did you guys keep that together?
Well, have you seen Convicts and Catholics? I don't know if we did keep it together. I mean, the wheels were coming off fast when we exited for the Cowboys. But no, you know what? Those days obviously were different, and we had a lot of talent, a lot of guys that loved football. You know, obviously their goals, they were trying to get to the NFL, and we were winning a lot of games, and really it just kind of snowballed on us, you know, and we had some real characters, but they were all good football players that loved the game and were very coachable, and we were a close team. I mean, we were a close team. I mean, I was there for 3 years, and, you know, we lost one regular season game the whole time, and it was to Notre Dame by 1 point when we went for 2. And we could have kicked an extra point. Back then there were ties, and we could have tied the game and never lost. You know, we lost to Penn State out there in the championship game. And then Vinny left, and then the next year we come back with Steve Walsh, and we weren't sure how good we were going to be. And we ran the table and beat Oklahoma and won a national championship. So it was crazy. With not as talented a team by far. I mean, that team that we lost to Penn State, it was Jerome Brown and it was Alonzo Highsmith. I mean, these are all top 10 picks. Benny Blades was our safety. You know, I mean, it was crazy the players that we had.
Was it an easy decision for you to follow Jimmy and go with him to Dallas?
Yeah, Jimmy. Oh yeah, I mean Jimmy. Jimmy and I were assistants together at the University of Pittsburgh. And he's been kind of like a big brother to me, truly. And he was assistant at Pitt with Jackie Sherrill for 2 years, and then he got the Oklahoma State job. And I wasn't sure at that time if I was going to get into coaching for sure. Jackie hired me full-time, or, you know, I was studying. I actually took part of the test for the FBI. I was thinking of possibly that. And, I was a mess. I mean, I was all over the place. And I just wasn't sure. And then Jimmy and I went out and played racquetball, and him and I still talk about this. And we were at Tambellini's restaurant in Pittsburgh downtown on Wood Street. And we were having a couple pops, and he said, you know, Dave, and he was just convincing me that, hey, this coaching thing now, don't don't slight yourself. I mean, I've been around a long time, and he said this, you got a chance to really be good and so forth and so on. And then like a month later, he gets an offer to go to Oklahoma State. And then he convinces me, now think of this. He convinces me, okay, now you got to leave Pitt and you got to come with me. And I said, well, we got you Green and we got Ricky Jackson and we got Dan Marino coming in and Bill Freydig and Jimbo Covert was a freshman. You know, and I says,
Why the hell would I leave to go to
I said,
Stillwater?
I said, what do we got in Oklahoma State? He says, oh, we're going to do some rebuilding. And he just convinced me that for my career, and I don't know why I made that decision. And we went to Oklahoma State, and we went out to the first practice. I remember it. And back then, I think you could have 95, might have been 105 on scholarship. Mm-hmm. And about 40 guys showed up. And I'm looking around, and I said, what? And Jimmy says, oh, we only got 30 on scholarship, Dave. We're on probation. So
you're going to let me know?
So we, we battled, and we went to the Independence Bowl. I think it's still going on. Is there still a bowl?
I think so, yeah.
Well, the very first Independence Bowl that they ever had, we got to go to it. And we played Texas A&M, and Gary Kubiak was the quarterback for Texas A&M. And they beat our brains in. But we went to a bowl game, and for our post-bowl, so we got together in the locker room, and Jimmy said, hey, we're going to have a little post-game. So we went up into his suite, and he sent a couple young coaches out to McDonald's. Now, we had a couple cases of beer, and look at that, huh?
Yeah.
Like Miller
Yeah,
Lite?
a little couple cake. So we had a couple cases of beer, and he sent a graduate assistant out to get like boxes of burgers and fries, and we sat around after the game, and that was our post bowl game at Oklahoma State. It was so, and then I left and went to USC, and then 2 years later he gets a Miami job, and then he calls me up at USC. Oh, this is a great story, and he says, you want to come? And I said, boy, we just went to the Rose Bowl, and USC is a crazy good place to coach.
Yeah.
I had keys hanging up in my kitchen, the condos out in Palm Desert and stuff, from alumni. I mean, it was endless. And so I said, I don't know. Well, the convention, every year, Tony Wise, who's like one of my best friends, he was my assistant head coach here. He was my assistant head coach at the Dolphins. We were together at Pitt, same deal. So Tony and I always roomed together at the college convention. So I'm flying in from L.A. He's down there. So he says, I'll pick you up. And he had just taken a job with Jimmy. He left Syracuse, and he went to with Jimmy to Miami. So Tony picks me up in the car, and I said, what do you got in the back here? And I turn around, and Pat Jones is there, who just got the Oklahoma State job when Jimmy left, and Jimmy. And I said, hey, what are you guys doing? And I knew it. I told Jimmy, I don't think so, this and that. So Jimmy says, get out of here, park the car. We're going to go get a drink, okay? I said, yeah, that's why I'm here. I'm not here to hear anybody talk about cover two, I've done that. And so we end up at Pat O'Brien's, the Hurricanes. We start drinking. And I call my wife about 1 a.m, and from a payphone. Okay, guys, payphone. You know what those are?
Yeah.
Payphones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Seen them in movies.
From a payphone, and I said, hey, I think we're going to move to Miami. So Jimmy and Tony and those guys, we sat there at a table and drank, and he convinced me that I needed to leave USC and go to Miami. So I called my wife from a payphone like at 1 a.m, and the noise. Where you at? Oh, I'll explain. Tomorrow. And that's when I made the decision to go to Miami.
Was that one of those things you woke up next morning, you're like, oh shit, what the fuck did I do?
Yeah. Well, yeah, there was that part of me. That I'm an East Coast guy, so it was, as good, as great as USC was, it was good.
You seem pretty easily convinced. A racquetball game and just a couple O'Briens, and you're in, huh?
Do you want to host a show with us?
Yeah.
No.
Hey, we got a whole liquor cabinet over there. I'll crack it open.
I don't. You know what? If I had time, I would. But, I don't know. I'm full right now.
But kind of fast forward, obviously, to the Bears. I'm like obsessed with 1992 Chicago sports. Like Maddox just won the Cy Young. Ditka left. Blackhawks just lost the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
And the Bears and Ditka parted ways. You come in. What was your vibe there in '93 when you took over?
Well, my first vibe was that we had several. I wasn't sure with the group of players that had played in the Super Bowl how many of those guys could still play. And I knew from my experience at Dallas, like when we took over at Dallas, I walked in. I was a defensive coordinator of the Cowboys, 35 years old. And there were players in there that were older than I was. You know, Randy White was in there, Emerson Walsh was in there, Michael Downs was in there. And we went out to the first practice, and, you know, a lot of these guys, I mean, they were, their careers were over. But because they had won, Coach Landy was loyal to them. So I get here to the Bears, and I wasn't sure. That was the biggest thing. I said, how good can we be? I was excited about Harbaugh, but should I be excited about Richard Dent and God bless him, Steve McMichael, you know, these guys, Mark Bortz. So I wasn't sure. So I told Mike McCaskey, I said, before the draft, we need to go someplace. We had a bubble that the roof had collapsed. I said, I need to work these guys out before the draft so we know what we're dealing with. So we went to Mesa, Arizona, if you remember. And we went through workouts, and then there were 14 players on the team then that had played in the Super Bowl. And out of the 14, tell you, I kept Sean Gale, did a great job for me. Richard and Steve played. I kept Fridge for a half a year. You know, Van Horn, I kept him as back. You know, so I was probably very sensitive, oversensitive to what these guys had done for the Bears. And they were all fantastic, all gave a great effort. Mark Bortz ended up playing almost the whole time, you know, so so did Sean Gale. But it was that was the biggest thing of being able to turn it over quick enough and get enough players. And free agency back then wasn't what it was. And but I loved Chicago, and I knew that it was a team that that I would be comfortable with, and I just felt the mentality here kind of fit my personality.
How different?
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna. How different was the culture from an ownership standpoint with Dallas versus what you came to Chicago?
Yeah, completely different.
Completely different.
Yeah, and you know what? I really, you know, I was really fortunate. I had a bunch of I had I think 4 or 5 different teams, you know, offers that year, and. But I felt like I could relate to them, and then I didn't know some of the stuff that maybe was going on behind the scenes. Mike Ditka and I, Mike and I are from the same hometown. We know that, Pittsburgh. And he was 15 years older than me, I guess, but when he was growing up, he was the guy in the neighborhood, and he went to Pitt, and I ended up going to Pitt. His dad worked in the steel mills on one side of the river. My dad worked on the mills at the other side of the river. Wow. So whenever I got the job, and I would go back when I was an assistant back in the day and play in Mike's golf tournament in Pittsburgh. And so when I got the job here, I met Mike down at the Nightingale. He called me, and so I met him at the Nightingale, and he said, bring a media guide with you. And I remember sitting there like a week after I took the job, and he opened that media guide with a flare, and he went through every page, and he either checked it or put an X through it. And he went through everybody in the organization. And Mike was fantastic. In fact, I still see him. I stopped by and saw him at the club probably in May or June this past year.
Abo?
And no, down at Old Florida in Naples. You know, we live pretty close together. That's where I live, Naples. That's my house. But
you don't got to say who, but is anybody still with the organization that was crossed off?
Oh, wow. No, I think everybody. I'm trying to think. No, there's not many left, really. You know, no. I think Ted Phillips is the only one that was there, and he wasn't in the position then. All he did was really work with contracts when I took the job. You know.
Yeah. How was your relationship with him?
I got along fine with Ted. You know, it was a shame because Bill Tobin, the general manager thing was a big issue. And the other job that I was considering was the Giants, and George Young was the GM, and I really liked George. Spent a lot of time with him, and at the Bears, I knew Bill Tobin. You know, Bill was in charge of player personnel, and I came in and said, "Hey, I can work with anybody." And Bill was fine. We'll work through this thing. You know, I want more input maybe than Mike had on drafting players, but just because we did it that way at Dallas. So I go on vacation. I'm on the job here maybe 2 months, 3 months. We go through the mini camps, through the first draft, and Mike McCaskey calls me. I was June in Pittsburgh on vacation. He said, Bill Tobin just quit. And I said, what? Why? How? I said, well, we got to talk about this. And he said, well, no, I've promoted Rod Graves. He's going to be in charge of player personnel. And I liked Rod. He was one of our scouts, but there was no discussion on my end. There was nothing, and so that was that's how that kind of unfolded. And then we go to, and the only other one that stuck and still bothers me is we go to the playoffs, win a playoff game with Steve Walsh. Eric was hurt, Kramer, okay? And then Steve, the only reason he came with us because I coached him at Miami, and his agent was a friend of mine. So Steve comes up with us for 1 year. We go to the playoffs, win a playoff game. I think it's the last time the Bears have won a road playoff game, by the way.
Sounds right.
In fact, I know it is. But no, seriously. So now Steve's contract is up, and so I went in and said, we got to sign Steve back, and so they said, let him shop. So his agent says he doesn't have any real offers. Tampa Bay, I think, was offering him like a 2-year deal with $250 or something. And so I went back and said, hey, Tampa's his only offer. They're up front with us. We got to do this. He took us to the playoffs and won a game. Nope. And they said we can only pay one quarterback, so they would not pay Steve. Wow. And then Steve left and really didn't do anything. And then don't you know, that's when we signed Dave Craig late. And we beat the Cowboys the next year on Monday Night Football to open the NFL season right here in Soldier Field. It was Troy and Emmett and that whole group, Michael Irvin. We beat them 17-13, 17-14, whatever it was, in Soldier Field. And then it was either the next week or the week after that, Eric Kramer breaks his neck, and he's out for the year. And Dave Craig comes in, and we go 7-9, and now we lose free agents, and that was my window. And every coach, and I don't know what this is for Matt Nagy. Okay, we're talking coaches or any coach. Every coach has a window that you got to hit it big, and it might be a 2-year window, 3-year window, whatever it is. And mine was like that 4th year. That was the year that I felt we had the best team and the best chance. And Eric breaks his neck, and we go 7-9. And Dave Craig was a great guy. But shit, he was older than I was, I think, at the time.
Given that at that time Ted Phillips was just a contract guy, and knowing him, do you feel like he is equipped to be the guy to hire the so-called football guy for the Chicago Bears?
No, I don't think he's hiring the guy. I think he would have a good opinion on the guy's personality and maybe his background. But no, he should not be hiring the football guy. Absolutely not. I mean, and I don't think he does. I don't know. Maybe he does. You guys know more than me.
Well, that's what they say. Him and George come together, and that's what they interviewed everyone. And
they say it. We don't know who they is.
Yeah,
but they say it.
Yeah, I mean that's I don't know, but no, I wouldn't think Ted that's not his job.
And then you talk windows,
right?
In your mind, is it different every time, or is there a certain amount of window an NFL head coach should be allowed? What do you think is a?
I think it depends on the team you take over.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If you take over the Green Bay Packers, you got to hit it big in 2-3 years. You know what I mean? If Urban Meyer takes over at Jacksonville, he'll be there 5 years. You know what I mean? You got to give him a chance to build. So I think it depends on the situation.
How much do the fans influence a window?
I think by attendance they do with an owner. It depends on the owner. I mean, but most of them do, and it can be crazy. I mean, when I was 4 years that I was the head coach of the Dolphins, we averaged 10 wins a year, guys, and we sold more season tickets. We were selling 63,000 season tickets with Ricky Williams and that whole crew. And we went 11-11, 9-10, and they were upside down. I mean, they were frustrated, and that's when Wayne Huizenga went out and hired Dan Marino to bring him in, and that was the crack of the armor. So I mean, every job has a window, and I don't know what it is for the Bears. I mean, the Bears are going to give because Matt Nagy is such a good guy and Ryan Pace, you can just feel it, and I know those people well. You can feel that they really like him and they really respect him as a person, on and off the field. So that relationship carries a lot of weight with the Bears and a lot of weight with Virginia McCaskey, where it might not carry any weight with Jerry Jones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's going to give these guys time, and I don't know. I mean, my biggest concern with the Bears right now, I'm tired of talking about this quarterback thing. I've given my opinion. I really think that I got a strong opinion on what they should do with Justin Fields, but I'm concerned about this damn defense.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these guys, they're on the verge of getting old. You know what I mean? The Trevathans and Robert Quinns and Khalil Macks and I mean, they're getting up in their age. Akeem Hicks, and all of a sudden when guys start hitting the wall, production goes down. It's because that's what everybody counts on in Chicago. Oh, we got the defense. They don't want to talk about it. Can we run the ball? Can the quarterback play? But we got the defense. Well, I don't know if we got the defense right now. I haven't seen it.
That was kind of our takeaway
Yeah.
after Sunday night too. Now, I like this dynamic that you're talking about with the different ownership groups. As a coach, would you rather have a guy like Jerry who's like in the draft room, beating down your door, or would you rather have a Virginia? And then I guess, like, how was Jerry, I guess, as an owner during draft time?
Well, Jerry, well, Jerry was right there. No,
I know. Yeah.
Now, when we were there, it wasn't that way. I mean, Jimmy ran the draft. Jimmy did what he wanted to do. Jimmy traded who he wanted. And Jerry was supportive because Jerry was trying to just sell tickets and sell jerseys and sell, get the club back. So it was different. And really, excuse me, the straw that broke the camel's back really was, I remember we were heading out for a jog our last year, and they were setting up tables, and Jimmy said to somebody, "What's going on here?" And they said, "Jerry's having a press conference." And Jimmy said, "Oh, Jerry's having a press conference, huh? For who?" And he said, "For the media." And that's when he brought him in. You might not remember, and he was serving steaks. So Jimmy would have his press conference like 9 in the morning, and Jerry was having one at noon, and he was serving lunch to all the media guys, the Skip Baylesses of the world and Randy Galloway's. Wow. And then Troy played bad one game. I think he turned the ball over a couple times, and Jimmy came out and said, "Hey, I don't care who it is. We're not going to put up with that crap." And then they asked Jerry the same question 4 hours later, and Jerry says, "Oh, Troy's fine. There's not a problem." And that was it. I mean, that's when Jerry started, getting a little bit more aggressive with media and a voice. But up to that point, he was not a problem.
So for your concerns for this defense, is it more about the personnel? Is it about the game planning? Or is it really just the Rams game?
You know what? I don't know. I mean, you got a new defensive coordinator. Everyone says he's bright. He gets it. There's a big difference between being bright and getting it. And there's a big difference with playbook coaches and out-of-the-box coaches. And I always talked about this when I hired. Majority of your staff, and it's probably that way in your business too, majority of people are playbook guys. They get the playbook. They know every adjustment. They get it. And that's what you got to have as your backbone. But then you got to have a few coaches and a few people that are outside the box thinking, and half the stuff that they throw out there is crazy, and you say, that's a good idea, but maybe next week, one of those deals. And I'm not sure, but good defensive coaches, you got to be a little bit outside the box thinking. We do this, and now if they do this, how are we gonna? What's the answer? And you don't cover the answer, but you better have it here, because when it happens, you might have 2 minutes to make that change. Mm-hmm. I got to see that. When you got a new guy in there calling defenses, we'll see what happens in the second half. We'll see the adjustments that are made. So I think there's a little bit of evaluation has to go into this thing.
Well, and I mean, I know you said it everywhere, but could you give us your Justin Fields take for our listeners?
Yeah, it'd be real simple for me. I would never stick, and trust me, I had 6 different quarterbacks in 6 years here with the Bears, so they're going to put that on my headstone.
That sounds about right.
They're going to put that on my headstone if he only had a quarterback. But I was convinced we could win, basically, not without one, but because Jay Fiedler was my quarterback in Miami. I'll come back to your question. and Ricky Williams led the NFL in rushing. We had a top 5 defense. We had a Pro Bowl kicker, and we could not win a Super Bowl. Because when we played New England, Brady made 10 out of 15 throws, and we made 8 out of 15. As truth. Mm-hmm. And I remember watching the tape, and those 3 plays that he converted first downs that we didn't was the difference in them winning 17-14. Mm-hmm. Anyway, okay. I got that quarterback thing out of my system. But what I would do is I would make Justin Fields, and I've studied this, the teams that are most effective in the red zone are teams that can run the ball and teams that can move the quarterback. If you drop back in the red zone, defense drops back, and there's not enough throwing windows or not enough lanes for the quarterback to make easy throws. Everything happens so fast down there. So my experience is the most effective way is to move your quarterback a little bit, because now the receivers are moving. Think about it. Quarterback's moving, and if you're a defender, I don't care what the coverage is, we've got to move the coverage in sync with the receivers, or there's going to be big throwing lanes in there. So I always thought move the quarterback. Justin Fields, this is him. This is what he does. And then quarterback runs. So I would make Justin Fields the red zone quarterback. And now what you get to is you give him the practice. He's getting 90% of the plays. This is what we're going to do, Justin, on first down, second down and long, second down and medium, third and short, third and long. These are the plays that you're going to get. And we're going to practice them, and you can study them, and you can see them on film. Now you put him in the game, the kid's confident, and you go. Sticking him in for one play here and one play. I mean, what? So somebody jumps off sides. Now he might have 1st and 20.
Yeah.
Where, go ahead, make the call now. What do you got? You know what I mean? So that's how I would handle this thing until he's ready to take over. And I don't know when that is. I don't know what they're. And I'm gonna shut up on this thing. I gotta get going. But here's the thing that you got to think about. I was one of the few guys in Chicago, and I am on record saying it. Give me that defense a couple years ago. Give me David Montgomery and Mitch Trubisky, and I will get you to the playoffs every year. Because you got to do what Mitch can do. And we've seen games where Mitch runs it 7-8 times, rolls out, throws it. You can get to the playoffs. So you're going to beat Aaron Rodgers and those guys? Probably not. No, that's all I'm saying. Now you got Justin Fields, but we never got to that point. We never would commit to doing that because they don't believe in it. And that's fine. Everybody's got their own philosophy, what you want to do on offense and defense. Fine. Now you got Justin Fields. He's probably a better runner than Mitch. He's a better passer than Mitch. But you got kind of the same type of guy, in my opinion. Are they going to commit to doing what he does best, or are they going to stay with, I call it the Nick Foles offense? I mean, that's, to me, I think there's some real discussions going on offensively. What do you want to do?
Mm-hmm. So schematically, Matt Nagy is not, you don't get what he's doing.
Well, he's got a philosophy and he believes in it, but I don't know if it fits Justin Fields as good right now. I know it doesn't. I know it. And Mitch Trubisky.
You just send it chill down all our spines.
We don't like hearing this.
Well, I don't think Mitch Trubisky truly had a chance to do what he does best week after week after week. I really don't.
He's a great athlete.
And he can run and he can throw on the move.
Well, how much?
And he's and he worked his tail off. Yeah. He was as hard a worker as anybody. So go ahead.
Well, how much? And we'll end on this, baby. You got to get out of here, I know. But how much of that when you go in and you get somewhere and the personnel doesn't fit what you want to do? How much of that is ego versus like, hey, this is all I know what to do for a coach?
Well, yeah. I mean, you wanted Justin Fields. To me, it's pretty simple. You do what he does best.
Yeah.
I don't know. And you can't worry about him running. I mean, he's going to run. He's going to make plays. I mean, look at. I don't know. That's a whole nother topic. But I think there's two issues. I really think that one, you got to put him in the game where it's as controlled as possible that he has seen in practice and he can work on and he can anticipate, right? And then the second thing is you got to make a commitment offensively to doing what this kid does best. if you don't, the guy may struggle, and it may be a longer period before he gets in there, if ever. I mean, not gets in there, but you know what I mean, plays at the level that he's capable of playing.
Yeah. Well, Coach, thank you.
Yeah,
Go watch him.
I got to
Fox.
I'm going to go coach my grandson's. I got a grandson that's 13 years old up in Wilmette. It's almost 6'2".
Flag football.
Flag football.
We're playing real.
Coach, we're buckling chin
Well,
straps.
you know, it was just a test to see.
He's
where
gonna he's gonna be a lineman. No, we let
Pads are popping.
Oh, I love it.
yeah. So I'm helping him out up there, and I go up to practice. I go
6'2", 13-year-old.
How
Yeah.
about
What's
that?
your punishment like for running with the players? Would you make suicides, monkey rolls? Like, what do you make a 13-year-old kid do if he's not doing the right thing?
No, I don't just.
Is he going to go to Loyola?
He's gonna go to Loyola. Yes, he is.
Brother Rice gonna beat their ass.
He's
This
going to go to
week,
Loyola?
the game's this week.
I know it's the biggest game. It's the big 1 versus 3.
Yeah, I won't be there, but I'm a John Holisek fan, and Mark Carrier's up there now. You know that. Mark Carrier's assistant AD at Loyola.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Everybody's
Yeah.
over there. Nagy, Kurtz's kid,
Yep.
Yeah,
all his
Pat
kids.
Fitz' his kid?
Fitz got 2 there.
Yeah, he's
You're
got
right.
2 there. I guess his oldest is a stud tight end.
Yeah.
Monster.
Oh yeah, yes, he is. He's going to go Northwestern too.
You got any
Maybe not
dads that
Nagy.
try to tell you what to do?
No.
What's that? Yeah. Hey, coach.
Yeah. A lot of them, sure. Same guys that called in on the Score Radio. You know
We should have taken some calls for you.
Hey,
Just to run it back to old times.
Hey, you know what I said? Might have been the first week I took the Bears job. Remember, talk radio started like in '92.
Yeah.
And they asked me, what do you think of this talk radio? And I said, let me tell you something. Anybody who would listen and call into this are the same people with the studio wrestling's for real.
Thanks, That's great.
All right, I'm out
All
of
right,
here.
Dave Wannstedt, thank you. Fox NFL kickoff, and you could find them on all local radio stations. So
And
thanks
the
again.
CW
Find 'em
here.
lots of- yeah.
Yeah, the
The
CW
here.
There you go.
That's Wani.
Yeah, you know what I love too? I texted his guy Bynum here, and I was like, hey, let us know if there's a hard out. And he's like, oh, he'll look at me. Not even. He just looks at his watch. I gotta get out of here, guys. And I appreciate that. I loved it.
Yeah.
He was great. He was honestly fun. I hope he comes back because that's just a guy who you sit down and you don't even really have to spin the top much. He just gets going. He's interesting. He's got a great presence, and it was awesome to have him on the show.
It's also cool. He literally sits around and talks football with, like, when he was casually being like, yeah, Jimmy and Terry were in the break room having coffee. So,
Yeah.
as he's putting these takes together, and he talks about Matt Nagy, or Justin Fields or whatever the case is, like, I just get a sense Wani's like, these are coming from just such expert places. Like, when we sit around bitch about Justin Fields and not playing, or shouldn't even use that specifically, but when we get into, like, we're complaining about stuff, we're just talking to each other. When Dave Wannstedt's like breaking stuff down and complaining about things, it's like, hey, Jim, it's like there's just something different about when you get, of course, the expertise and his experience, but as he lives his life today, 10 years on Fox, breaking down Big Ten football, doing Bears-specific shows, doing the NFL shows, like, he knows what the fuck is going on.
You have a better perspective, man. People don't. Like, it's not said enough that, like, people don't really know what goes on behind the curtain. You don't.
Yep.
You don't.
I thought his take on Mitch was really interesting too. It was like
Yeah.
he just never wanted to like conform and just try to get the most out of Mitch.
How do you do that as a fucking coach? You
A
got
lot of
That's why I
guys do
asked him.
that.
I was like, is it literally
I mean,
ego,
that's
or is it
like-
like
I
he doesn't know
remember-
how to do anything? I mean,
I mean, that was a good question. Yeah.
because I honestly, could you imagine that? Picture that. Like, you guys are like big baseball guys. You're obviously a big hockey guy.
Yeah.
Like, you would teach people what you were taught, and
Yeah,
you
right.
would teach them that way. But what if they like didn't respond well to that way, and they're like, wow, fuck, that's like
Yeah.
all I've been taught.
Well, like
it's not totally apples to apples because
Sure, I know it's not apples.
But there's some similarities because a big shift with baseball has been now teams that are willing to coach to strengths are being celebrated. Like, that's a huge shift in baseball that now when you look at an up-and-coming baseball player and you develop a guy, the whole focus is now, what is this guy good at? And we're just going to focus on that. Where before it'd be like, well, he doesn't have a good arm, so he's not good.
Yeah.
It'd be like, well, he's got a quick release. Or like he's got good footwork, but he's got, short strides or something.
Right.
And I don't get the sense that Nagy to me sounds, after listening to Wani, he sounds like a fucking scout from like the mid 70s in Major League Baseball.
Well, and that, and like the example that I have used before is the same sort of thing, like coaching to strengths. Like the guy who took over at Georgia Tech for Paul Johnson, he wasn't going to run the triple option. Like Paul Johnson, like they recruited all these guys to run one system. It was the only place in America that really ran, at least at the Power 5 level. And then this guy came in, he's like, well, I'm not a triple option coach, but we have to have some of that because that's all we really know how to run. So it was like, I'm going to recruit my guys and we're going to slowly change and slowly put our stuff in. But I don't have a real quarterback to run to run the run and shoot or wherever you want to run or West Coast offense. So we still have to have these option concepts. And it seems like Nagy is just like, he's just like, well, I only know how to do Alex Smith and Mahomes stuff. So, and if Mitch didn't fit into that, or
like,
hopefully,
I know this is gonna get fucking shit on, but like Mitch isn't too dissimilar skill set wise to Pat Mahomes. Athletic, can throw on the run, big dudes. I know Patrick Mahomes is infinitely better at playing the quarterback position, but skill set wise, they're not too dissimilar. Making plays with feet, improvising.
Yeah.
Athletic guys.
I'm trying to think of like
throw on the run.
Somebody besides like the best quarterback in the league.
Of course.
Right.
But I mean, that's who he coached.
Right. But or like, what would Nagy do with Lamar Jackson? What would,
And that was like, I was with Harbaugh a couple of years ago. I was like, because I didn't think Jackson was going to be fucking shit in the NFL. I'm like, there's no way he's going to be able to throw against an NFL defense. And credit to Harbaugh, and who was his offensive coordinator back then? Whoever it was. He completely molded the offense to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson won an MVP. Right. Like, it was unanimous MVP, I want to say.
And if not, very close to it.
Yeah.
Because he was, I will say it again, fucking everybody, right?
The ability to adapt after that conversation with Wani seems like it's non-existent with Matt Nagy. And you can't be like that. Like, we all think that Fields is going to be a stud. And he even Wani said it himself. He's like, they're not skill set wise all that different.
Yeah, he just does everything better. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I hope. The biggest fear is that we're just still in this cycle.
Well, we'll get a better measuring stick this week, right?
Yeah.
And we'll see. The Rams are supposed to be
Super
an
Bowl
NFC contender,
yeah.
Super Bowl contender, and the Bengals are a team in the midst of a rebuild as well.
Yep.
With a star quarterback, or what you think will be a star quarterback.
Yeah.
So we'll get a better measuring stick. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think that'll be interesting because I want to see Burrow come and throw 50 passes against the Bears. I think when we play the Rams, it's like McVay's only going to bite off what he needs to bite off. Like Stafford was 21-26, 321 yards, 3 touchdowns. Does anybody think Stafford could have been 40 for 40-8 for 450 yards?
If you want to.
Right.
Probably.
So it just seems to me like, all right, well, when we play the Bengals this weekend, I get the sense that it's going to be more volume and like, all right, it's not like they have to hide any plays or schemes or anything where McVay might not want to show the kitchen since like, dude,
I don't need it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like we could see. So why I'm interested in this is I think it's just a more normal, routine, regular NFL offense. And so if our defense goes out there and consistently can't make plays,
it's going to be
even though it's week 2, that's where I think we're going to be like, uh-oh. Like, yeah, fine. We got shredded by the Rams. They had a couple big plays.
Good point.
But
We'll
if it's
see,
the
man.
Bengals doing it,
They got some good skill players, though.
They do.
The Bengals got some good skill players.
Joe Mixon.
Get ready. Higgins.
They feed Mixon.
Yeah,
too.
bro. They got some good skill players.
I think Mixon had 30,
Who was
30 carries
last week? The fucking
They
Jamar
beat
Chase?
Jamar Chase went off.
They got some good skill players, man.
Lines open, Bears -3.5, and I thought I saw it was down at Bears -1.5, -1.
I was just looking at it as 2.5. Bears.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I think I'm betting the Bears.
I'm not touching the Bears once this year.
Well, a gambler mind tells you that the Bears is probably the play.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just.
Well, you guys should both pull a Costanza and go against your instinct.
Yeah, I did that against fucking Iowa State, so.
But nah, that
didn't work.
No. That's not exactly. You thought about it.
No, he said he was on Iowa and then he flipped.
I understand that, but you gotta think about a bet. So I want to take the Bears -2.5. Just immediately do it. Like he let it stew.
Like when you fill out a 16 parlay card and you don't even think, you're just like, oh, I like
Just
this,
click.
I like this, I like this, and then you go 5 for 6.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hit the parlay.
Right. But you're like, fuck, if I had just gone with my top 5.
Yeah. And the first 4 aren't even. I mean, the first you have like those might be the only bets you win convincingly.
Right. Right.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Go Bears. Dave, we brought this up earlier in the show. We like having you laser focused. It's that time of the year. You guys haven't clinched. 2 weeks left in the baseball season.
It's clinched.
It's
The magic
coming.
number 7. It's looking like it's going to be in Detroit. The common meme going around White Sox Twitter right now is that in 2005 there was a big hurricane in Louisiana. The White Sox clinched in Detroit, and then they went on to win the World Series. So hopefully they do clinch in Detroit because they'd be good juju in the faces of the
Gotta
baseball
love that
gods.
hurricane juju.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
that's what everybody's saying. I haven't said it. I'm saying they have said it.
That's all
You
insensitive.
guys always
That's
blame me for
insensitive.
what they say.
Are you doing are you praying for hurricanes every down the stretch here?
I mean,
Is that like,
I'm not praying for them. I'm not praying at all. That's the point, though,
yeah.
is that it just happened naturally. I didn't ask for it to happen. It just did. So
So now we're clear. So you just have to look for natural disasters as good omens for you.
for me personally, yes. For my personal benefit, yes. But so yeah, it's such a boring part of the season right now.
Did
There's
Leury
no-
Garcia hit a walk-off home run?
He did.
You want to apologize to him?
I'm getting close to that point. So Leury Garcia, he's been the messenger or the delivery driver of much of my angst with the White Sox over the years. He's been in the organization longer than Jose Abreu has, which is fucking crazy. He's been on the team forever, and it's just like we cannot fucking shake this guy. If one outfielder if Eloy gets hurt, it's like all right, Eloy or Lurie's got to play. Then Eloy comes back, Engel goes down. It's like all right, Lurie, you can't shake him. But in the last month and a half, probably since the trade deadline, he's been a very adequate, literally the end of the order type bat. He's hitting for a little more power. He's slapping the ball all around. He can play every position, so he's fine. It's gotten to the point where Caesar, I call him Caesar. It's Cesar Hernandez. He's been very bad for the White Sox to the point where I think they probably should consider starting Lurie at second base and hitting him 9th in the playoffs. Because ride the hot hand,
Wow.
yeah. And Cesar Hernandez is a good player. He's a good player. He's been around the block. He's 30-ish years old. He hits for power. He hits from both sides of the plate. But he's been really fucking
He's just
bad.
a weird guy. Strikes out too much. Doesn't walk as much as he should maybe.
I mean, both of those are at average clips. It's just like it's been weak contact and he's been bad. He's got like a 58 weighted runs created plus since the trade. It's been bad. And Lurie's right about 100, so he's right about league average, which is perfectly adequate for a 9th hitter, someone you can play anywhere. But
I give Lurie a lot of credit,
that's
though,
what we're
Dave.
talking about
I
right
do.
now is Lurie fucking Garcia. And because there's nothing else to talk about because you're just waiting for the inevitable to happen, which is them clinching the division. And they're going to be playing in the playoffs against the Houston Astros. Now, in the standings, they are only one game back of being tied with the Astros for home field, but the Astros have the tiebreaker, so technically they're 2 games back.
How much are you going to be watching these last couple of weeks? Because they talk about the hot team, hot team versus like the rested team.
Of course, yeah.
It's a fine line, right?
It is. It's a really fine line, but at the same time, I don't think there's any rhyme or reason to how the playoffs go. Like in 2005, the White Sox almost choked a fucking 15-game lead with a month left. I was gonna kill myself, but they didn't, and they won the World Series. They were playing like complete dog shit until the last series or 2 of the year. But like right now, nobody on the planet would want to play Toronto. They're on absolute fire. They're probably gonna have a Cy Young winner. Alek Manoah looks absolutely filthy. West Virginia big hillbilly. And then the Yankees look like complete asshole. But 2 weeks ago, they were in the midst of a 13-game win streak. So it's like the common adage is this, Ed. It's not who you play, it's when you play them, right? So I mean, I don't give a shit who they play. It's gonna be Houston. But,
Dusty Baker versus Tony La Russa, ALDS. You gotta be fucking kidding me.
No, and I thought that was funny in the Wani interview too. Like he was dropping all these guys like Gary Kubiak, for instance. He's like, oh yeah, Gary Kubiak. Like,
Jack Del Rio is a quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. Like guys like that had just been
Coops.
lifers and lifers and lifers, and here we are, staring down the barrel at a Dusty Baker versus Tony La Russa ALDS. Poetic in a way.
It is.
But yeah, like the last 2 weeks of the season, it's boring. Playing for seeding, playing to get guys healthy, which everybody's coming back. Gio pitched last night, Lynn, a couple days ago.
Gio's third in Major League Baseball with swings and misses this year.
Yeah.
Incredible statistic for a right-handed pitcher that doesn't rely on a breaking ball.
He's a two-pitch pitcher for the most part.
Fastball change it?
So he talked about that at the start of the year. He came on Red Line Radio. He was like, yeah, like I've become a really good pitcher. I want to become a three-pitch pitcher. In the beginning of the year, he was a two-pitch pitcher still, and he couldn't find the feel or command of a third pitch. Now he's starting to really find that feel of, and it's weird because usually the changeup's the feel pitch. That's a pitch that you can tell, you can give a guy a million different grips, and it's just got to be whatever works for him personally. And the slider is just typically the one where it's, yo, here's how you hold a slider, here's how you release a slider. Go and do it because there's no other way to do it. But he, like Giolito, could never find the feel of that slider the first half of the season. He found it in the second half, and he looks great. I personally wouldn't give a shit if it's right now. It'd be a complete toss-up for me who I start game one of the ALDS between Gio and Lynn. Or like even if it had to be Los, like I wouldn't care. He hasn't pitched much lately, and he's kind of hit not stuff-wise, but endurance-wise. He's hit a bit of a wall, but they're giving him all the breaks he needs, so he'll be fine. But Gio, he looks
Who do you
great.
think gives you a better start? Just be honest. Like
I'm Gio.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Then I think that's it. I think
Gio or Lynn. I don't care. Like gun to head, if I had to pick one of the two, Lance Lynn, because he's a horse and he's been there. Not that
every time he says that now you gotta do that.
Not that Giolito hasn't, because he looked fucking awesome in his start against the A's in the postseason last year. But Lynn's like, I mean, he's a horse. He's bred for those moments. He doesn't give a fuck about what the circumstances are surrounding any game. He's going to go out there and he's going to shove fastballs down your throat 90% of the time. And 90% of the time he's going to give you a really good fucking start. So that's what we're planning for and preparing for. I do got shirts in the hopper. The moment they clinch, get ready to buy. And that's it.
Beautiful.
What do you guys think?
Happy for you, Dave.
I think I talked to somebody who managed the World Series team recently, and I had asked him a question about how do you pick between two pitchers. There were two pitchers. One's a righty who strikes everybody out, the lefty, all the big balls and all that stuff. He said in 2015, the wild card game, it was the easiest decision to go with the righty, go with Arrieta, because the easiest decision of all time. But the question was more about 2016, because you guys clinched 3 weeks out. How do you set up a playoff rotation when you clinch 3 weeks out and you have two completely different yet awesome pitchers? Lance Lynn and Gio are pretty different.
Yeah, they're very different.
For bearded guys that go right at people and are right-handed and big as fuck, like they do attack lineups differently. And I think there's a sentimental choice where you're like, okay, well, I'll pick Gio because he's been here the whole time. But I think the sharp choice is Lance Lynn. I think Lance Lynn goes out and gives you a better game. I think he's just a.
It's not that I think that he'd give a better game. It's that
I'm sorry my point of bringing all this was that the answer is summarized. He goes, I'm going to make it as simple as this. When I looked at the rotation, I just thought in 2016, who's going to give me a better game one?
Yeah.
Is it
That's
like
it,
it
yeah.
wasn't
Because
it wasn't like numbers and
Yeah.
matchup. He's like, we didn't talk about the other lineup. We don't talk about the home play. It's not like the umpire, where's the wind blowing, all stuff. He's like, literally, I just simplified it to say, which of these two guys do I think can give me a better game? Mm-hmm. Just in like a game.
I would roll the dice with I would probably go with Lance Lynn. But if they didn't, it's not like I'd be like, what the fuck are they doing? So that's a good way problem to have.
Yeah.
Kind of how a lot of Cubs fans felt
Exactly.
in 2016,
Yeah,
where it
of
was
course.
like, well, yeah, Arrieta, but Lester's done it before.
Right.
Lance Lynn's done it before. Arrieta hadn't. A little bit in 2015. So
The one reason I would go with Lance Lynn and Jim Leland's got one of my favorite quotes of all time. I still want to try to get him on the show eventually because I think he'd just be like the ultimate baseball guy. But he's like, give me talent over experience all day. Like, I don't discredit experience. I want talent, but Lance Lynn, in spite of his age and experience, is still super fucking talented. Like, he's throwing 95, 96 heavy-ass fastballs. And that latter part of what I just said is why I'd go with Lance Lynn, because he doesn't have the propensity to give up the long ball as much as Gio does. Gio gave up one or two last night. That's going to happen when you're a four-seam guy up in the zone. Lance Lynn, like you said, is much different from Giolito, where he's got that heavy fastball that you're going to beat into the ground a lot more often than a Lucas Giolito type pitcher. So that's why I would go with Lynn, because it doesn't matter where you're playing. If you're playing at Sox Park or you're playing in Houston at Minute Maid or whatever they call it now, those are short porches. Keep the ball on the ground, get swings and misses, which both guys do. So that's why I would go with him. Probably Giolito game 2.
It's a good. I mean, it's a good thing to be thinking about for White Sox fans. You're in a fucking much better situation than you guys. You used the 2005 example earlier, but you guys are in a very good position.
They're sleepwalking right. I mean, not even sleepwalking. They're like toying with teams right now.
Yeah, they're waiting. You guys just smash the shit out of the Angels. Not like they got much to play, but I mean, like the lineup looks good. A lot to be positive about. Now, are you gonna be mad if Chief goes to these playoff games with you?
He's not allowed there. He's not allowed there.
I don't want to go.
You're not allowed.
I'm allowed.
Not with me.
I don't think people. I'm like, just get your massages in now in these next.
I've
2
never had a
weeks.
massage.
We'll go to the baño. We'll go to the bathhouse.
I got a pedicure yesterday.
I saw
How
that.
was that?
I wanted to
think?
make fun of you, but
What
it
do you
would have
think?
been. It would have been insincere because I've always wanted a pedicure.
Did they get the pet egg out? Or
The what?
The shape.
are awesome.
What's the egg? What's pet egg? Is that the thing, right?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
Did they
that's
put
the
the little
shaver.
leeches on your-
That's when you
Shave your
shave.
Or
Chief
the-
needs a good foot shave, I'm sure.
Oh, have you
Yeah,
seen how
I got
fucking
some,
hairy?
I got some hairy feet. Yeah.
got
No,
caveman
not
feet.
that type of shave. When they take the dead skin off your heel
Yes,
with
I
that
thought-
like
Oh, they hit the little
serrated.
stone thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like the Parmesan
Don't
cheese
they
grater.
use
It's nice.
Don't they use like minnows to eat the?
I've seen that, but they didn't do that at this place.
I don't think I didn't handle that.
I
well.
like a petty. I like a mani. Did
I
they
heard
rub
they
your
hurt.
calves?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Wait,
like
you got them?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my wife's like, hey, she'll ask me on like a Saturday, do you want to go with me? And more often than not, I say yeah. Not like every Saturday
No.
or like maybe once every 2 months or
This
3
is-
months or something. It'll be like, hey,
This
early
was
Saturday.
the second ever one I've ever had.
Yeah, massage
And it was
and
nice.
mani, or not mani.
So I don't
really
like
care about.
massages.
Did you go
but
by yourself?
No.
Maybe
I
once
didn't.
every
There, of course. He
maybe
could.
once every 3 months.
No. Come on.
Do you want to? No, I'm kidding.
Disclose.
I'm totally
Yeah.
kidding. I'm totally kidding.
No, but it was nice.
I just say that because this is 2 weeks. We're like, this is going to be the most relaxed we see this man for
A long
good
time,
stretch.
yeah.
And
That's why I
I'm
can't
worried,
get
I'm
upset about the Bears or
excited.
Northwestern right now because it's like
Who do you think he
They're
kills
there.
first
Are
if
you
they get
gonna-
swept?
Does Costco sell Grizzly Wintergreen?
I'll need.
I feel like you're gonna need
I'm not
like a
off the
trash
table, though.
can for
I'll
like
have to
size.
get it wholesale, like
Yeah.
just a fucking pallet of it.
He's
I'll
so
call-
serious, I don't even know if I'd be able to support him positively and sincerely.
Yeah.
Once the playoffs start, I'm not even going to like
I gotta start
text him like, hey, good luck tonight.
positioning for what we're gonna do for because they're gonna more than likely, I would guess, be in Houston the first 2 games of the series, unless they go on a steamer. Houston's not looking great right now at all, but they also have the West cleaned up, so they're in the same position the Sox are. But I don't want any of you 3 by me for that. I don't want any of you 3.
I watched the I watched the NLCS with you.
I did. We didn't have cameras and shit going though.
yeah,
Those
gonna
were
be
simpler
different, Dave.
times.
It's going to be different, man. Like it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, we might have to be near.
Yeah,
you.
like,
It
it's
might
not-
be like
it's not our
Dave,
decision,
Might be
yeah.
Portnoy saying the 4 of you need to be doing the live stream and have to sit right next to White Sox Dave.
But I don't know if I'd want it just like if we're doing it at say Declan's or something like where there's a crowd.
No, it's probably gonna be right over there.
Probably going to be.
We'll see. I don't want you guys.
I've
there.
already told you what I want for you.
I don't want you to say it again.
I want.
He's
want them-
pissing me off now, Ed.
Why? What did I do?
You're
I'm
needling.
not doing anything. I'm not needling.
You're subtly needling. You're subtly needling. I
What?
feel needled. You may not be trying to needle, but you're needling.
I didn't needle you at all.
I just said I feel needled. Like
I think he's
intent or not.
noodling. I don't think it's a needle. I'm more of a noodle.
He's not noodling me. My brain is sharp as fuck right now. I'm looking at lineups, matchups. Lance McCullers, are we going to get his A game?
Crack will do that.
Oh,
Can you believe this guy?
he's not on crack.
Disavow.
That is
But,
a bad joke.
But and I'll reiterate this one point before we can transition, if you guys would like. I will say this again, very publicly. I want the Yankees. It's gonna be it would be hypothetically in the
Going somewhere
ALCS.
else.
So did I.
What?
No, nothing. Keep going.
I want the Yankees. Simple as that.
Is
I
it-
want the Yankees.
Do you want the Yankees just for the internet, or do you want them because you
Both.
think Both.
Both.
Okay.
I mean, Mush and Hubs and what's the other guy's name? Tommy.
You know Tommy.
I know Tommy. Of
Yeah.
course I know Tommy. Tommy and I go back, but like I would like the not I don't want to say trolling, but like they would not be able to handle me.
I know.
I would body them.
I totally agree. But
Clip that.
if there is a scenario like losing to the Yankees,
It's win-win for me. Why? It's the New York Yankees playing the lowly Chicago White Sox. The White Sox are in a shitty division. That's what everybody says, right? The White Sox aren't supposed to beat the Yankees, even though the Yankees, I don't think, are any good outside of a handful of players, Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge and Stanton when he's hot. But, like, this is the thing with me. If the Yankees, even if they fucking swept the White Sox are going to be right back there next year, and I'm going to be doing the exact same shit.
Here we go.
Next year.
Don't do that.
Saying, no, I'm going to be doing that because I know exactly the trajectory of this organization. And the White Sox might play the Yankees again next year. And I'll have crack number 2 at them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I will be able to... Like, there's nothing that the Yankees could do to the White Sox where it's like, oh, look at this fucking... There's nothing.
all right, fine.
It's a win-win for me.
I do think that if, well,
And
you wouldn't
but-
rather
and
lose
here's
to
the
the Astros than the Yankees.
No.
Okay.
I want the Yankees in every single fucking way. Every single way
Okay.
imaginable.
All right.
I don't care about the 5-1 record. Someone showed me the stats the other day in 2005, and I hate, and we're going to get away from this if the White Sox do win the World Series. We won't have to reference the other World Series any longer, which is good and bad. Everybody loves the 05 team, but it's 16 years ago. If the White Sox played the Red Sox and the Angels in 2005 14 times, and they went 6 and 8, I want to say. It was like no good, and then they went 3-0 and 4-1, 7-1 against them in the playoffs. Like everyone's referencing the Yankees. They won 3 fucking extra inning games, which is a complete toss up at
Fake.
this point because it's of the extra inning rules. You're not going to have that in the postseason. And I mean, those games were so close to being flipped the other way.
Yeah, don't read
Yeah.
too
you
much
know?
into it.
Don't read too much into that 5-1 record.
Dave, I gotta say, you are dialed in. You're dialed in. You're laser focused.
I cannot wait. Like, I look forward to the White Sox every single night right now because the day's winding down. I pull a Chief and I 3-cheat my face off and talk about people dying and all the people living in the world, which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Fact.
And, like, come, like, the third inning, I'm like, this is boring. Like,
Yeah, you're ready for playoff
I'm
baseball.
ready for playoff baseball.
Yeah.
I'm ready for playoff baseball.
I'm excited for you, Dave. Is that a needle?
Yeah, because I don't think you're
Oh, yeah.
sincere.
I want good things for you. Until I don't want like the best things for you, but I'd like good things for you.
Do you believe him, Eddie?
About what?
He doesn't care if they get swept by the Yankees because they're the lowly White
I
Sox.
think
They'll
I
be
would
back
care.
next year.
I would care.
I think if it were me and they were like, you can lose to the Yankees, who have the largest, most obnoxious fan base, a lot of people in the company.
I don't think
or
the
you-
Yankees are going to make the playoffs. Their
Okay.
schedule.
I think
That's a
Dave-
different conversation,
Yeah.
though.
I think Dave, and this is what just the way your life works. Like, I know you say that, and I get your point, but the way your life works, like something out of the ordinary could
unforeseen.
happen,
Yeah.
and then it could spin that, and you could be wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's what
I
I'm
feel that.
saying.
I feel that.
That's
I
where
feel
it's
that.
like Dave's like so confident that there's no way it could go wrong.
Well,
I'm like,
I'm confident because,
Dave,
like,
there
what's
is.
Hubs going to say to me? Oh, look at fucking Dave. Like, I tell Hubs this all the time. I'm like, at least I had the balls to have a fucking take prior to the fact. Or prior to the conclusion of any given event. Like, you just operate in complete hindsight. Like, it's easy to shit talk someone after the game's over, shit talk beforehand, and have the balls to see how the game plays out. That's how I see things going.
Yeah.
Like, and if he wants to shit talk after a loss, I'll just say it
It's fair.
again. Guess what, Hubs? We're gonna be right back here next year. We're gonna be right fucking back here.
I hope it's White Sox Yankees too.
I am begging for it, begging the baseball gods on my hands and knees.
Is there anybody
begging
in the
them for
AL
it.
that you're actually scared of?
I mean, like I said, it's right now. I would not want to play the Blue Jays. I would absolutely not want to play the Blue Jays. And I know that the AL East is by far and away the best division, maybe in baseball, definitely in baseball, outside maybe the NL West. But I know the Rays are running away with that division, or already ran away with it. But I'd rather play them than the Blue Jays, I think. Which is crazy to say because the Rays are going to win 100 whatever games in the best division, you know?
Yeah.
arguably the best division. But I will end on this. I think it's hilarious that the Padres are going to miss the playoffs. I think it's hilarious.
Do you have spite against them just because of the trade and then Machado?
No.
Okay.
It's more that I think, and Han last week subtly said that him and AJ are friends, meaning AJ Preller, their GM. I have the same sort of hatred for him as I do for James Franklin. I just have
Really?
he just reeks scumbag to me.
Okay.
And I know that's completely unfounded, and I have no reason to think that. He just reeks scumbag to me, and I don't like him.
I bet if you spent 30 seconds with
I saw
AJ
him
Preller,
out-
you probably love him.
I literally, this was when I was living in Scottsdale. I was at a Sox game. Was it? I forget, because I would go to random games, not the White
I
Sox too.
respect him a lot.
He was walking to his car. It was a 666 Mercedes. After a game, I was walking to a bar somewhere in, I think they might have been playing the Giants. I forget. Anyways, and I did the same thing. I'm like, hey, AJ. And he looked. He's like, hey. And that was it. That was my one ever encounter with AJ Preller. But I just don't like him.
Okay.
Just don't like him.
AJ, we know you're listening. Don't be offended.
Because actually, here's why. Similar to the New York Yankees, it just seems like the last couple of years they fucking get everybody. They just fucking get everybody. Obviously, the Yu Darvish has not worked out for him. He looks disgustingly bad right now.
Yeah, Cubs probably won that trade.
Probably, yeah. I mean, got the money off the books and he's nothing. He stinks.
We'll revisit that once we're able to certainly figure out who won the Quintana trade. I'll circle back on the.
Fuck out of my face.
You guys are so easily rattled. Anytime I bring that up, it's not even worth getting into it now.
I'm not. I can see why Sox fans would be because they don't know or understand what you're doing. But like when you said, "Oh, now talk to me about season," I'm like, all right, he's kidding. But yeah, that
Buckle
got me
up.
fired up.
We're all
bit.
cheering
It did.
for you, Dave.
Ah.
I got a little fucking.
Chiefs not.
I got a
Chiefs
little-
not.
No, I want
I'm-
I want them to lose in a painful fashion, but I want them to go on a run. I want Dave to have a run here, but not all the success.
Dave, you've certainly deserved this, so I'm excited.
I want you on the parade route, Dave.
I would like that actually.
I'll
Don't
be
be
out
what?
there in some form.
Don't be what?
I forgot what I said.
What else?
What else we got? We
That's all I
got
got.
hockey. We'll switch to that after 3G. So 117
We already
billion
did
people.
3G.
Have we?
Yeah, we did.
Well, we can do it again. How fucking roasted were you last night with that
I was
tweet?
just watching a documentary. People just assumed the worst, and then I went to bed and I didn't see that people like freaked out about that tweet.
I mean, that was
It's a good fact.
a heavy tweet to just nonchalantly throw out.
Well, it's
like,
people die all the time.
can we read the tweets?
The tweet says 117 billion people have died all time. So in the history of humans, the estimation is that 117 billion people have died. And today's living population is roughly 7% of all people ever. I just thought that was an interesting fact.
Now, I
don't know why people like you run in how much 3G. Anytime I say anything at night, it's your response is how much 3G. I was just watching a World War II documentary, and they're talking, and I had just talked about this
Which
with Large.
documentary?
It was some random one on AHC, the American Heroes Channel, and but it was talking about all the people who died on the Eastern Front. And Large and I had just done that, and it's like millions upon millions upon millions of people. It's like, man, that's a lot.
Didn't it like
A lot of fucking
20
people.
million people, 30 million
30
people?
on the Eastern Front, yeah.
Yeah.
Between like the famine and the disease and then
Winter,
obviously the fighting
yeah,
and the winter and
fighting,
all
yeah.
that. So, it was 30 million people. I'm like, man, that's a lot of people to die in like a 3-year stretch. I wonder how many people have died ever. And I looked it up. And that was the answer. And then people like,
I mean, it was still, you can see why people would assume that, right?
no, I actually can't.
How?
That people would assume that I was just 3G-ing?
I mean, I could understand why people would assume that.
I mean, you stoked those flames. I was just watching a
I
documentary.
did. People were.
But like that tweet got like 1,000 something likes and like a shit ton of responses and it's like, well, what are we talking? It was just like it was a fun fact. I thought it was fun. All those dead people.
Oh, it was definitely a fun fact. Just
Someone's calling you.
that's probably. I think that I got to pay my car insurance.
Should we answer and put them online? Put them on air?
Just say, hey, this is White Sox Dave. You're on air.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, I am calling from Talrow Insurance Agency.
Okay, good call, Dave.
I recognize the number. I feel like I pay my car insurance once a week, but
Is that what it was? Your
Yeah.
car insurance? Oh, okay. I thought it was a scammer.
Are you underinsured,
Yeah.
overinsured?
I'm fully insured. I can change that, right? Because I paid off my car, so now I can just go to liability.
I have
and
no
pay
clue.
like.
I didn't.
Well, didn't you
no
work in
idea.
insurance?
I didn't do personal lines for Nissan Altimas.
But
It's a funny vertical.
I think I can do that.
Didn't you
'Cause I
fucking
pay, like,
do this, dude? Aren't you a nurse?
Dude, what the fuck? Dude, I only do models under 2014.
Not me.
You're too
Couldn't
new.
be me.
Okay, this is our second show, Redline Radio. We'll be back next week with 2 shows, some Bears Bengals reaction, probably some other great interviews. Thanks to Wani for
I
coming.
want to give a quick fuck you to the Cubs, though. Because they beat the fucking Phillies, and I got a big-ass fucking futures on the Philly to win the East, and they stink. And I'm blaming it on the Cubs for being their cute little playing well lately.
Everybody has a future on the Phillies.
I hate the Phillies.
Everybody.
They are number 1 on my shit list.
I don't
right
think
now.
there's one person who bets baseball that didn't put a future on the Phillies because
Those
their
fucking
their
assholes.
remaining strength of schedule is dead last in like the history of baseball. but
And they cannot win.
I know.
They're getting swept by the Diamondbacks, the fucking Royals, Tigers,
Cubs.
Lions, Bears.
all
Tin
gas.
Man.
No breaks.
DJ, play that shit.